Muslims of today, and many of them actually claim that in previous scriptures, including Bible, the coming of Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, was prophesied. How do you back that claim? Are there specific verses in the Bible that we find prophesying the coming of Prophet Muhammad?
Yes. Yes. Now, we should understand this in the light of the way in which people have used prophecy from the Bible. Many have said that Jesus is prophesied in the Old Testament. So we say, okay, where is his name mentioned? So, and then we find that his name is not actually mentioned. Some general sorts of descriptions are given about some future figure, and then one says, oh, but Jesus fits that description, so he must be the one. So in a similar vein, we can ask, okay, does Muhammad fit that sort of description? Now, why don't we go that further step? I mean, why do you stop only with Jesus?
Okay, there we go. Brother David, why do we stop?
Think about what Shabir just said, right? Because his Quran says very clearly that we find Muhammad mentioned. Yes. Shabir wants to seem to water this down a notch and say, well, we need to think about what Christians do with their text. What they find is various, sort of vague things about someone else who's to come. And Christians say, well, that's Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
and so why can't we do the same thing with Muhammad?
Sure. Seems sensible and logical.
Now, but by the way, as kind of a side note here, is that what we have in the Old Testament? When it's some sort of vague mentions of someone who's to come? No. Is that what we have? No. Because, we're told, are we not, that the Messiah is going to come from Bethlehem, right? Yes. So it's giving us a location. Of course, more than one person can come from Bethlehem, but we're specifically told he's going to be born of a virgin. Yes. Are we not? We're told that he's going to live a miraculous life. And just so we can read one of these passages, again, the topic is Muhammad in the Bible, but just because Shabir said you have these vague general mentions here.
We don't know who it is, right?
Let me quote a couple of verses from Isaiah 53. Let's see what kind of vague references to some random person who's going to come down the road. Yeah. Surah 53, verse 3. I'll start. He was despised and forsaken of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and like one from whom men hide their face. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. Surely our griefs he himself bore, and our sorrows he carried. Yet we ourselves esteemed him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was pierced through for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The chastening for our well-being fell upon him, and by his scourging we are healed. All of us, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way. But the Lord has caused the iniquity of us all to fall on him. Now, I would invite everyone to continue reading the passage. We're not going to spend too much time on this, but think about this. Someone who's pierced for our transgression. So what sorts of things are we told in the Old Testament? Told where he's going to be born, told he's going to be very unique in that he's born of a virgin, that he's going to be pierced for the transgressions of the world. And then Jesus comes along and says that he's come to give his life as a ransom for many. John the Baptist says, behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. And Shabir said, yeah, it's just a bunch of, some general reference about someone who's come. Really? Because that sounds awfully split. Born of a virgin? How many people does that fit?
And in 7:14, Isaiah, there will be one born of a virgin whose name shall be called Emmanuel, meaning God with us. Are we applying that, Shabir, to Muhammad? Do we call Muhammad God with us?
And since we're quoting passages, we also have, for instance, in Zechariah, where it's Yahweh speaking, and it says, "They will look upon me, the one they have pierced." So Isaiah 53, they're going to pierce him, and this is Yahweh says, "This is me." Yeah. But also, just in Isaiah chapter 9 here, beginning at verse 6, Isaiah 9, 6. For a child will be born to us. Child's going to be born. A son will be given to us, and the government will rest on his shoulders, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. There will be no end to the increase of his government or of his peace on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and uphold it with justice and righteousness from then on and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will accomplish this. So a descendant of David is going to take his throne, who will be the mighty God. There's just vague references that can apply to anyone. So why not do this with Muhammad?
Yeah, because Muhammad's God in Islam, right?
Yeah, all of these things. And he's going to die for sins, right?